Okay, there's one step here that we need to do before the boot cowl goes on. And on these two rails here, your boot cowl is going to come up and it's going to, the back end will rest against this rail here. And then your side seat will go from here to here. This is just this, what they call piper channel. And we need to drill some holes across here.
But I actually get this reference hole here first and then mark it here. And what I do is I go down the aircraft, line this hole up to this hole.
Okay, so your holes are square across.
So you're parallel on each row that's going across, because there's a transition of geometry angle there.
Gotcha. And I'm 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, all the way down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes on this side. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 holes on the back, 7 holes on the front. Right now we don't have any on the bottom that we're worried about. So go through, drill all these, 3 30-second drill. On the back side in here, if you can just take a bigger bit, if you can deburr it by just spinning it by hand. So that's something we need. And then we're going to go our boot cowl on, and then we can drill from the inside out to find the locations of these holes. As the boot cowl slides on, there's a, you'll see in a second, there's a channel in the boot cowl that comes around this tubing here. So we've just got some masking tape, it's on some rags or some paper or something, just to keep that from scratching on the paint up here. So you want to just be aware of that.
I'm just going to put tape around the, just the perimeter area.
Yeah, another thing you can see right in here is if your edge is not very even, what happens when these two side pieces get cut, they've got to overlap and they're the identical part when they get cut. So once we have this all fitted together, we're just going to, just put a nice line in there and just file that so everything blends together nicely. But when it's all done, you're going to have a cover go over top of here, and probably you'll have some kind of a fabric or ultra leather go over the whole thing. So it's not something to get too concerned about that these are off. Obviously this is nice to have two people do this job. Right here. Okay, you can see it on these sides. You gotta come up and over these formers. You gotta have to just push it out a little bit. There we go. Make her slide in place. Reach here in the back, push that bolt through.
Yep, there you go. She's going. We're just. Might have to just turn a little bit.
Fits like a glove.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm gonna thread that through a little bit. Yeah. Now these bolts obviously are just slightly undersized, so when you do your final fit, there may be a little, tiny bit of filing there. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some nuts on here to tighten this up.
Yep. Put, I think about 2 washers on each one of these, just so we don't mar the firewall.
Okay, the purpose of this is just to pull that in tight, so your firewall is right tight up to the back of the airframe itself. Just so we can see here, basically right up in here, that our firewall is right tight up to the steel. There's like it's like a big washer in there. We just want to check that all 4 locations that's up and tight, so we know when we do our permanent installation that firewall can't come back any farther. Okay, we're just putting these little tabs in here right now. We had to make these up because somebody like myself forgot to bring them down here this morning. So normally with your boot cowl, you're gonna get, there's gonna be 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? 6, 14. You're gonna have 14 brackets. There's gonna be 6 little brackets here that are, well, we'll show you what this bracket looks like later on, but there are 2 holes in the top, they're a skinny little tab, and then it gets wider at this edge, comes down, and there's a slot. And that slot is basically elongated, kind of going this way and around. That allows you to attach your instrument panel up here. But because I forgot these things, we're going to keep going with this, and I'll come back and show you this afterwards. So now, normally you would have black powder coated tabs put in here with the 2 rivets that correspond. We just stuck in some aluminum tabs. We're going to continue on. The next step is to put the instrument panel in. This is an older one that we're just using to fit up right now. Yours is going to come as a blank that you can fit in, you can customize any which way you like. But the idea here is to lift this boot cowl up to the rolled bead on the top of this panel, and then we'll just screw some holes. And right now, because this is just a blank, we're not too concerned about it. And you may even want to make up a dummy panel on your own, or you can have your final panel pre-done from the back side. You can kind of clamp your panel up into place, and if with those tabs in there, you can reach around the back and you can just trace where your holes should be. Come back and make sure you're satisfied that you've got a uniform distance from the top edge down. It's visually appealing to you as far as the layout. Okay. And you know what? That looks pretty good as far as, I got a little tick mark here. The gap in the bottom of that tube, I think it looks pretty good as far as being level.
Now we're just going to cut out the top of the corner of the instrument panel right here. We just want to move this boot cowl back till we can get the side edge here of this material just past the U-channel. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting this little notch out of the side here. And then we're going to put the dash back in, and we're going to start to fit the boot cowl to the Dahlstrom on the side.
Right, so we're just trimming on the panel right where these 2 intersect.
Markers here.
Right.
See if we can just, we're just going to take a little bit of material out as we go.
Okay. Just notch that out a little bit. I followed this now, and actually I brought it back 2 inches from where that little fold tick is on the bottom of the panel, and you can see now I can push this in, and we're flush with that channel there. So now, that's all we can do as far as covering. Any more than that is not necessary. Our instrument panel is fitted. Basically, it's up tight against this flange, and it holds that top shape. Now we're satisfied we can come back here. So we're going to go along, we're going to drill these holes. We're going to do 1 on each side, and then we'll come back and we'll go all the way down. Our first hole we do here, we've got some overlap on the bottom, but we're just close to being tight. So I'm going to pull back a little bit at the same time, and then John's going to drill from the other side with a 3/32 drill. And I want to back my hole up so I can see my mark is there, and I want to make sure my finger's not in the way. I'm just going to back up, and I'm going to push it back. So okay, I'm good there, John. Okay, so there's our hole there. We'll just deburr that thing. I'm just going to take a regular bit, just spin it with my fingers, take that little edge out. I'm going to throw a cleco in. Yeah. So now we can see that we're nice and flush along here at the top. We're going to overlap there, so we're not going to worry about the bottom part. I'm going to go around the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Throw a cleco in this one. I'm just going to push on the top here, make sure I got no gaps between holes as I go along. Okay, we're gonna actually go ahead and use a hole locator, which is this little device here. It's got a hole in the end that you can get them in all various sizes, so my drill bit will just go in the end of that hole. And it lines up, you can see my drill bit will line up with this pin on the other side. The way these things work is you just peel it back and slide that pin in. So now I'm in that hole, and it's going to line that up for me. So I just pinch this thing together, drill it from this side. Got it. Pop that guy back out. My hole lines up perfectly. And goes your Cleco. Nice and easy.